The man who claims to be the owner of the controversial Ruaraka land is currently being questioned by Anti-Corruption Commission detectives following an earlier raid at his Nairobi homes, where documents and 28 vehicles were seized. Francis Mburu was arrested alongside his two sons on allegations that they fraudulently received 1.5 billion shillings as compensation for public land on which two schools stand. Our political editor, Francis Gashuri, is following that story for us and joins us now live from the EACC headquarters. Gashuri, good evening. So how many hours into this interrogation are we, and what is going on at Integrity Center?
Very many hours and a very cold evening here, Anki Guta, at Integrity Center. Actually, they have been here since 6 a.m. because the raid was conducted at around 5 a.m. at the homes of Francis Mburu, the man who claims to be the owner of the 96-acre land, a piece of land in Ruaraka, where two compensations have been made. One for the primary school, drive-in primary school, and Ruaraka Secondary School at 13.5 acres, and another 34 acres where GSU housing unit is located around Ruaraka. But they have been grilled from around 8 a.m. since they were brought here. And the hours continue to count, because even as we speak now, and they're still here. We are told by the EACC detectives that they have been taking them through some of the documents that they found in the homes at Karen and Riverside, while they also said they recovered another 28 state-of-the-art vehicles, as well as computers, documents, and even stashes of money that EACC detectives say could be running into millions of shillings, both in local and foreign currency. So investigations continue. The grilling continues, has been happening since early morning, and we don't know how long it will take, because the EACC detectives are telling us that they want to ensure that they get as much as possible from Francis Mburu, his two sons, as well as John Mutwiri, who happens to be the director of a company known as Champions Kenya Limited, where 930 million shillings was deposited during this compensation.
Francis, we understand that it is a two-pronged investigation. What two angles are police pursuing?
They're saying that the detectives are telling us that they're looking at both compensations, because they happened quite similarly and in almost quick succession. The one for the compensation of the GSU housing unit, where 196 units where GSU officers occupy, that initially belonged to, the houses were initially built for postal telecommunications, popularly known as Posta, before the transaction shifted to the Ministry of Internal Security, then for occupation by GSU officers. That's where 2.4 billion shillings was to be paid to Francis Mburu as compensation for the 34-acre piece of land where those houses are built. He was reportedly paid 1.8 billion shillings and has been claiming 750 million shillings from the government. On the other hand, you remember this year in January, 1.5 billion shillings was paid for the 13.5-acre piece of land where drive-in primary school and the Ruaraka Secondary School sit on, and it was supposed to be part of a 3.2 billion shillings compensation. 1.7 billion shillings was to be paid in the 2018-2019 financial year that we are currently in, that began on 1st of July this month, and the other part was paid as 1.5 billion shillings in the 2017-2018 financial year. Part of this money was to be paid in the supplementary budget that the chairman of the budget committee, Kimani Ichung'wah, declined to sign. And so this money was paid from an emergency fund, and that is where some of the questions are being raised on the modalities that were used to pay that amount of money. Also, there was a court order in 2016 restricting any compensation or any business relating to that piece of land until that matter is heard and determined. How then the compensation was made, even with a court injunction, is also part of what the investigators are looking for. So two-pronged, as you say, and we wait to see what will happen, because the EACC detectives are telling us as early as tomorrow we could see some huge arrests that could touch on some key government officials. If not tomorrow, then over the weekend and probably early in the weekend.
Francis, before we let you go, at the same time, we do know that Parliament has been probing the same issue. And in particular, there has been the lack of appearance, if you like, of the Interior Cabinet Secretary, who's been summoned by Parliament twice to give information regarding the same. How do these two investigations marry, if at all?
Well, what is happening in Parliament, the EACC detectives are saying, is within the purview of Parliament. But what they are focusing on is the nitty-gritties of this particular investigation. Then they are saying, initially they were focusing on about 10 cabinet secretaries who they say could have been touched on this investigation. But they are narrowing now down to 3 cabinet secretaries, 3 principal secretaries and 3 commissioners at the National Land Commission, as well as a host of business personalities who were beneficiaries of the compensation in the 1.5 billion shillings compensation, as well as the 1.8 billion shillings compensation. So that's where the focus is. Even as Parliament continues to probe this matter, the EACC detectives, together with the Directorate of Public Prosecutions, they are saying they will do their own investigations. They will try and piece together a formidable case, and those who will be found culpable, then they will be taking them to court as early as next weekend.